Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, and today I wanted to show you and talk about Explosive Arrow and the first Explosive Arrow character I've ever made. This character right now is just running through Porjo's at around level 80 and managed to keep up a rampage stack of 1000 all the way around. Porjo seems to have about 1500 monsters, for those wondering, based on my pretty crude calculations of using rampage. In any case, if you're anything like me and you have basically had your head in the sand when it comes to Explosive Arrow for the past 2, 3 years, and just said fuck this skill ever since you used it and had pretty bad results with the duration of the explosions and just how it felt, then you know nothing about this skill. I only basically started learning about Explosive Arrow the past couple of days, or just before the 2 week league actually, and then some more right now. Essentially, Explosive Arrow isn't all that bad to play anymore, with all new Ascendancies, with a less duration gem, and some other little perks and nifty things that didn't used to exist back in the day, to make Explosive Arrow actually somewhat of a nice and smooth build nowadays. As you can see, it's pretty fast, and the gameplay and the clear speed is all rather nice, and actually a lot better than I ever thought it would be. Now, this is still, of course, in somewhat low-level maps, but my character's only about high-level 70s, low-level 80s at this point. So it's not doing too bad, and it's fairly budget. The only thing I'm really using is a 6-link carcass jack, which essentially could be replaced by a tabula quite easily, and in effect a +1 tabula would probably be, +1 to gems tabula is probably the highest DPS thing you could actually wear for this build, and is what I would use if I couldn't afford a regular 6-link, most definitely. Now the great thing about Explosive Arrow is it's pretty much the best build you can use to cheese Hall of Grandmasters. So if you're looking to farm a bit of Hall of Grandmasters, or even just clear it at some point, the builds you really want to do are the ones that preemptively stack and can then attack as soon as the barriers go down. So most importantly, that is Explosive Arrow and trap nonsense. So you can stack a bunch of traps. As soon as the trigger wall goes down, you pretty much explode everything straight away. Likewise, with Explosive Arrow, you attach increased duration to your main setup instead of less duration, which is what you normally use for mapping, and that means you have about 1.5 seconds to stack up as many arrows as you can, pop the wall, and insta-kill everything. Now, with this method, it basically lets you just completely trivialize and face roll all of Hall of Grandmasters, barring potentially 1 or 2 Exiles, which I'll show you in a second. That said, you do still manage to take them on, and the character still does have some work left to do. So, honestly, if you made it a better character, you could farm Hall of Grandmasters pretty safely, pretty comfortably, without too many problems. Now, there's not all that much point in showing you a full clear of this zone, because it's all pretty much the same. There are 6 wings, and you just pre-fire your Explosive Arrow at every single wing, pop the shield and explode them all at once. So it's, business as usual. That said, you come across maybe 1 or 2 exiles, and even a few more if you fuck it up. Like if you don't kill them all at once and you have to face a few of them every now and again, then it can be problematic. But there will be 1 exile that pretty much can one-shot you no matter what, and there's 1 exile that will take fucking forever to kill, and it is the bane of your existence. So I'll just go over him real quick, and how I basically somehow manage to kill him every now and again. Pretty smoothly if I'm lucky, or just struggle town all the way through if I'm not. I believe this is the first time I come across this giant asshole. I think he is a Dynas Tank. Is his name? Q something? Dynas Tank. Anyway. His character essentially is built entirely to not die. So I first of all came across him here and I had no idea what I was really doing, and it took me a while to figure out and learn the mechanics of what he's got happening and what I've got to do to try and kill him. Long story short though, to summarize, he has about 20 to 23,000 energy shield and something like 4,000, I believe, 4 or 5,000 energy shield regen a second. So he's spec'd his character almost entirely for energy shield and energy shield regen, and he doesn't have all that much damage. It's just some firestorm that he just chain casts over and over, which doesn't hit you too hard, but it does weigh you down if you stand still for long enough, because it's still pretty much firestorm with, I imagine, fire pen attached, something like that. So to kill him, you have to do an immense amount of damage in a short amount of time. And one of the other things that also really help is Frost Bomb, because Frost Bomb reduces regeneration rate by 75%, I think, something like that. So you have to Frost Bomb him, get him on next to some pillars, some frost walls, get some real good stacks of damage going all at once, and essentially do it very quickly, because he has cast when damage taken lightning warps as well, and more than one of them, I believe. As you can see, pretty much every fucking time I do any damage to him, he's lightning warping around. And it starts to just become really frustrating and annoying. So you have to take him on when you have full flasks, pretty much, and all at once. So you got to try and burn them down immediately. Playing this war of attrition just isn't going to do anything. And yeah, this is the first time I'm encountering him. I don't really know what to do. I don't even have a frost bomb. I'm just kind of running around. One thing you should know though is he's wearing a Shav's ring, which gives him fat amounts of ES regen. He doesn't have any mana regen whatsoever, so it's all based off of damage when taken. He'll gain some extra mana. So if you let him just stand around and chain cast all by himself, he's going to run himself and then you can just run around and do nothing. As seen here. If you don't attack him, if you don't do anything, he's going to eventually run out of mana and he just does fucking nothing. But at the end of the day, you still have to do a lot of damage to him to actually kill him. So with this running him at strategy, you can kind of just, I don't know, poke him in the right direction of where you want him to stand. But you can't actually do any damage to him, because then he'll get mana back and start casting Firestorm again. It is rather amusing seeing one of these Exiles do absolutely nothing though. And this guy in particular is pretty much the only one you'll be doing it to. That said, with his 23k ES or whatever, being CI, so he's immune to chaos, and just huge amount of ES regen, he made me want to quit the game. So it is essentially well played, and probably exactly what he was going for. So kudos to him, but my god, did I hate my life trying to do this. Once I figured it out, and how to actually kill him with this character that I have, it didn't become too bad. I could do, fairly reliable kills on him, and I'll see if I can pull up one of those in just a second. Yep, so here we are. I came across him in a run I did today, and I immediately hated my life, but it didn't end up going too badly. So as long as I have like pretty good flask management going and poke him in the right direction, get him stuck between some frost walls or some statues and all that, and have the right setup, there is less duration, and frost bomb. I don't know if Flambilly cursing him does anything, but I think I have EE as well, which should serve to give me some extra negative resistances for him. So I end up killing him somewhat okay, but it's really not that reliable and kind of sketchy as to how it works out. There's some frost wall action, there's some frost bomb action, and finally get him down. So he's essentially the only roadblock you have. There is a lightning arrow exile that's going to one-shot you occasionally. That's not really an issue as long as you can cheese the fights, as I've been showing you, just by pre-casting, pre-attacking, and shitting on everything as it comes out before it even has a chance to do anything. You will have to face like 5 exiles at the top of the steps every single round, but none of them seem to be particularly cock-blocky, just some damage and all that, so make sure you stay back, don't get hit by things, have a bleed flask, have a freeze flask, and you should be good to go for the rest of the zone. So I'll just go over fairly quickly what explosive arrow is, what this character is, and how you're supposed to build explosive arrow, as per my understanding. It's by now level 88, first time exploding Scion Ascendant, and I ended up picking, for my taste, Berserker plus Raider. If you're going to go Scion, there's essentially two choices as far as I can tell for explosive arrow for maximum effectiveness. You go Scion with Berserker and then pick something else like Elementalist, Raider, whatever else you really want, but Berserker is the staple. Or you go Marauder, Berserker for that 40% extra damage, and then you use a Life Leech gem. They seem to be the two strongest options at the moment. You can also start as like an assassin and build crit, or as an elementalist and get all kinds of other fancy clear speed buffs from like Prolif and all that, which is cool too, but I think for max effectiveness, it's either Scion or Berserker in my opinion. So this is what the passive tree basically looks like. It's just spreading out across the left side, top left side, getting shitloads of life, grabbing blood magic because you don't really need auras at all, almost at all, since you get no benefit from pretty much anything except for Purity of Fire or Haste, and for that we have an Essence Worm, which I put Haste in. Typically you're supposed to put Purity of Fire in just so you have extra fire resist, because that is your defense against Reflect. Going for max amounts of fire, 76. Ruby Flask puts me up to 52, and then you get Purity of Fire, which puts you up to about 86. That's basically how you defend against Reflect on this character, by also having a large life pool. So the passive tree just gets lots of life, fire damage, area damage, elemental damage. Basically, the way Explosive Arrow works is it's somewhat unique in the sense that it doesn't really get benefited by a wide range of things. You get benefited by fire damage, area damage, projectile damage, and that's about it, right? And also, I suppose, negative resistances, which is where Elemental Equilibrium comes into play, which will only get benefited when you actually hit with the initial arrows of Explosive Arrow, and you have some sort of other damage on there, which I have currently lightning damage from a static electricity. So when the arrows themselves hit something, they make it less resistant to fire. But in general, you're just going to be like overlapping explosions, and when clear speed, just clearing maps, Elemental Equilibrium isn't that great unless you're actually hitting all the monsters you're going to be killing with the explosions. So it's kind of an up in the air choice, but I'm using it at the moment and it's doing okay. The other up for grabs keystone is Elemental Overload. Some people go Resolute Technique and don't use this, but this seems to be a pretty good choice at the moment. 40% more damage if you've crit in the past 8 seconds, and basically that's going to be up all the time. Now what this means is you have shit accuracy, 71%, but that doesn't really matter because what the arrows are going to do when you're firing off your explosive arrow is if they miss a target because of your accuracy, they're going to go straight through and keep going until they hit the next target. If they miss that target, going to keep going until they hit the next target, all the way until they hit a wall. You can't miss a wall, so there's still going to be an explosion no matter what. It just depends on where. So having large amounts of accuracy doesn't really matter too much. And the other weird thing is with Frostwall, it kind of just goes through it sometimes. So you do still want Frostwall as your single target, because you want things to explode next to the boss. But sometimes it just goes straight through, and sometimes the explosions don't feel like they work at all. It is your best bet, it's what you're supposed to use, Frostwall, for this shit, but sometimes it just feels bad, which kind of leaves Explosive Arrow in a weird place. Now I built this character for maximum amounts of AoE. As you can tell, there are pretty large AoEs, and that's why I'm using a Carcass Jack. Usually people 6-link their bows, Quill Rain or a +3 bow gem sort of bow, and have their main setup there, and then wear a combs, because you can hit life amounts like 8 or 9,000, and it's definitely far more worthwhile. But I just wanted to go for max AoE, so I'm wearing a Carcass Jack and completely wasting my 6-link in the Quill Rain, since I had no idea that I was going to initially be doing this, and I had a Quill Rain from a previous character anyway. All you really need is some sort of 6-link. If you're going to use a combs, then you need a 6-link bow. If you don't really care about a combs, as I don't, since you can still get plenty of life, a tabular with +1 is really good because it'll benefit the empower and the explosive arrow itself, or just a carcass jack or whatever the hell else you got. Belly of the beast, doesn't really matter. Explosive arrow is fairly versatile. The rest of the gear is actually fairly nothing. Wearing shadows and dust just for rampage, lots of life, lots of resist. Essence worm just so you can get a free aura in, since you'll only use one aura anyway. Boots with life, resist, whatever. Pretty easy to build character. I'm also wearing a Hari's Bite additional arrow for some attack speed, some extra stats, and that 10% area. Not the greatest choice, but fuck it, maximum area is what I want, and that's what I'm gonna get. If you actually want proper guides on how to build explosive arrow, you should probably look elsewhere. I'm just gonna give you the general gist of what you do with it. So your explosive arrow scales very well from leveling and additional levels, which is why you want a level 21 ideally, why you want plus bow level gems if you're going to house it in your bow, and why you also want level 4 empower, a +1 tabular if you're going to go with that. Essentially it's one of the only ways to scale the damage. Beyond that, your essentials are going to be GMP, so you can fire plenty of arrows. Lesser duration, so that it actually explodes quicker, because without it, it takes a while. Whereas with it, almost instant. Lasts 0.47 seconds, whereas without it, we are waiting an entire second for the explosion. It's also got 29% more damage, so that's fine. Fire pen, probably your next crucial link. Beyond that, I'd probably go increased area. And then you need empower or slower proj. Slower proj does similar amounts of damage compared to empower. It's only when you get like an empower level 4 that you really should worry about going for that instead of slower proj, but it's entirely up to you. There's not much else to say about explosive arrow or the character. You have to scale through fire damage, life, attack speed to a certain extent, because as the tooltip says, +2 explosion radius per fuse charge, you can have a max of 5 charges up before it explodes. You try and stack them up as much as possible before they go off, and the more attack speed, the better. So I think that's roughly all I wanted to or needed to say about explosive arrow. This isn't really going to be a build guide ever, or how to build this character. If you want to follow this template, by all means do so through this video, but I'm not doing too much explosive arrow perfecting or playing in general, because it hasn't quite hit me in the right place, but it was fun enough to get to this level. Maybe I'll go for level 90. It's fairly fast, it's fairly enjoyable, but it just isn't quite for me. As you can see, building resist is fairly easy. Right now my character has more evasion than anything else, so that's the defense I'm going with. I have some life leech of course from Berserker, and essentially you just want to run around and not get hit by things while exploiting things before they get to you. I would recommend a cast when damage taken setup for Immortal Call as well, if you actually want to play some of this sort of character. That's all I'll say. Thanks for watching this video guys, hope it was somewhat informative, and I will see you guys next time.